This is a certified hood classic.
What's good, y'all, man? It's your boy, Quizzy, man. We back with another video, man. You already know what it is, bro. For y'all that don't know, you gon' know. You a hoe. No, stop. Just stop. This is the intro. We don't need to be talking that much stuff, bro. I'm glad that y'all here. I'm actually glad y'all here because we getting ready to check out. This is how El Chapo gets treated in prison, hour by hour. So you know that boy got caught. And he in a supermax, bro. He ain't just in regular prison. My boy in a supermax facility, getting touched every night.
El Chapo is currently holed up in Colorado, but he's not exactly enjoying the mountain views. He's locked away at USP Florence Ad Max, the most secure prison in the world, also known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, or better yet, Supermax. This place isn't just a prison, it's a fortress designed to break even the most dangerous criminals. Inmates spend most of their day in solitary confinement, with tiny soundproofed cells that make sure they barely see or hear another human being. And on today's episode of the Infographic Show, we're gonna reveal what El Chapo's life in prison is actually like.
Hey, you know that nigga, man. That nigga neck look broken. He looking up like, I ain't gonna ever get out of here.
In 2019, Joaquin Guzman, also known as El Chapo, was sentenced to life in prison for his many crimes as the former head of the Sinaloa drug cartel in Mexico. These crimes included conducting a continuing criminal enterprise, large-scale narcotics violations, drug trafficking conspiracies, murder conspiracies, money laundering conspiracies, and unlawful use of a firearm, which is kind of anticlimactic. And that's why today El Chapo is locked away in the same infamous prison that once housed criminals like Ted Kaczynski. Not that many people feel sorry for him. After all, he won.
Any nigga named Ted most likely has or will commit a violent crime in their life. Any nigga named Ted. I just feel like any nigga named Ted did it. That's
once told investigators he personally killed between 2,000 and 3,000 people, the population of a small town. That's not even counting the countless lives lost to the cartel that he ran, or the devastation caused by the drugs he trafficked. But now that we have the basics, let's walk through a day in El Chapo's life at ADX Florence.
Odin Valhalla Rising.
Oh, just stop. I don't want to see this shit.
Guzman wakes up in the morning after a rough night's sleep. As with most prisoners in the Supermax facility, bad sleep quality is a problem. That's partly because his bed is made of cement, one of the least comfortable materials on Earth.
Damn, bro, you got a bed made of cement, boy, I bet you with a little pillow in between.
There's a thin mat, but no real mattress. Just enough padding to keep him from sleeping directly on cold, hard concrete. And if that wasn't bad enough, 3 steel posts rise from the bed's edges, reaching just above the mat. If the guards decide he's a problem, or if they're just having a bad day, they could strap him down at the wrists, legs, and even his head. No plopping into bed for Guzman unless he wants to crack his head on solid steel.
No, you gonna crack your ass first, bro. If you jump, I wish, you want to die, go jump head first into that bed. But this man jumped in and cracked his ass just hopping in the bed, bro. Let me ask y'all, bro, for somebody, this is a question for all y'all. If you kill 2,000 to 3,000 people, is it still inhumane to have a concrete bed where you can get strapped down by your feet, your hands, and your head, and you can't move? Is that still inhumane? I just want to know anybody's opinion on it, bro. Like, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't. It sounds fucked up, but then it's like when you talk about killing 2,000 people, I'm like, well, bitch, maybe.
He opens his eyes to look around at the 7 by 12 foot reinforced concrete cell that he's trapped in. To put that in perspective, it's about half the size of an average North American parking space, or if you prefer a cozier comparison, almost twice the size of a king-size bed. But that's it. His living quarters are less than your average Walmart parking spot. The reinforced concrete is meant to prevent escape attempts, which is good, considering El Chapo has already escaped from prison twice. In 2001, it was via a laundry cart he hid himself in. His second successful escape attempt in 2015 involved him making his way out through an elaborate tunnel. We'll get back to that one later, as it's influenced his current prison privileges. Neither of those escapes are likely to happen again given El Chapo's current living conditions. The former cartel boss, like other prison inmates, now spends 23 hours in his soundproof and tamper-proof cell. Guzman walks over to his stainless steel sink, which also happens to be his toilet and water fountain. An appetizing mix. Most people start their morning by washing up, brushing their teeth, and freshening up for the day. But in Supermax, water is strictly controlled. Every drop is rationed. His sink, his shower, and his toilet are all on time.
That sounds like a black person's house. Everything is rationed. Nah, that sounds like everybody hates Chris' house, which is a black person's house. My goddamn boy, he said, your water, everything is rationed, boy. That damn 20-gallon water tank down there only can survive one shower and teeth brushing. That's just a wrap.
And forget about a tap. There isn't one. It could potentially be broken off and used as a weapon. So Guzman brushes his teeth and washes his face as quickly as he can. Then he goes back to his bed to wait for his meal.
I thought it was with the same water.
In most prisons, inmates go down to the mess hall for food, but in a supermax, wardens want to prevent inmates from socializing, leaving their cells, or posing any danger to the guards as much as possible. So here, Guzman gets room service. A guard slips a food tray through a small slot in the metal cell door. Guzman grabs it and he looks over the day's offerings. Stale bran flakes, an apple, and a cup of oatmeal with a texture so thick he could probably use it to add some padding to his concrete bed. At least there is one luxury, 2 cartons of milk. One of the only ways that prisoners in supermax prisons can protest their conditions is via hunger strikes, which happen relatively often. But in this case, a hunger strike might be a better option, as according to his former prisoners, the quality of this food feels like it's part of their punishment. He gulps it all down and passes the tray back through the slots to the guard. The guard inspects the tray to make sure Guzman didn't break off a piece to use in a potential escape, and then he leaves. 8 to 9 a.m. Suddenly, one of the rarest events Guzman can experience in his prison cell occurs. A small shaft of sunlight hits the wall opposite the window. The sun must be at exactly the right angle today.
Bro, you know that you in a bad situation when the highlight of your day is when the sun reaches optimal level in the sky to shine a ray of sunlight that goes through your cell that hits the wall. You ain't getting no vitamin D in that motherfucker, bro. So, because they said that he stays in the cell for 23 out of 24 hours of the day. Okay, Bat said, I think solitary confinement is very humane and inhumane, actually. Yeah, I know. You know what's crazy? I think it's inhumane, but I think when you kill 2,000 to 3,000 people, you kind of give up your rights to do things. You kind of give up your rights. I mean, that doesn't mean that I want to see anybody suffer and die, because I mean, that is what it is. You know, I don't think I want to see that. But at the same time, it's just like you kind of give up a lot of rights for many years. Maybe not keeping them in there forever like that in those conditions, but damn, bro.
The inmates' punishment at Colorado's Supermax facility is being completely deprived of sky and sunlight. To pay for their crimes, inmates basically get zero access to the outdoors. The window in Guzman's prison cell is small, and when we say small, we mean it is tiny. And it's designed in a way that prisoners can't actually see the landscape around them. They only get a tiny glimpse of the prison roof and a sliver of the sky if they're lucky. Part of the reason for this construction is to stop El Chapo and every other prisoner from being able to understand exactly where their cell is in relation to the prison layout. This is meant to prevent coordination with the outside world in order to organize escape attempts. In case any prisoner starts to get an inkling of where in the prison they're located, some extra security measures help deter them. Namely, that no prisoner stays in one cell for too long. But we'll get to that soon. In the meantime, Guzman shuffles off to the one place in his cell where he can almost feel the sunlight, and he just enjoys that for the time being. We never said life in a Supermax prison was particularly exciting. 9 to 10 a.m. Now it's back to one of El Chapo's favorite pastimes in prison. Is it frantically doing push-ups, planning revenge on his enemies? Nope, it is letter writing. Guzman writes lots and lots and lots of letters from prison, several hundred of them at this point. Most of them are in Spanish, since his English isn't great, and a lot are addressed to his lawyer or the judge who oversaw his case. Guzman sits at the concrete desk and chair in his cell, and he gets out a pen to write. All of the concrete in-room furniture is secured to the ground, so he can't use it to aid in an escape or in attacks against the guards. And the pen Guzman is working with isn't all that normal either. To prevent prisoners from harming themselves, the Supermax controls what items they have access to. While most people think this just includes the obvious weapons, knives, ropes, and guns, the list is actually pretty extensive. And that's because after years of staring at nothing but concrete, prisoners tend to get pretty desperate and pretty creative when it comes to finding a way out. So the pen Guzman writes with is
Right, that makes sense, bro. You know what I'm saying? You'll find out, like, if you give somebody nothing to do, they will find something to do. If you give somebody no excitement, they gonna find some excitement. It's like if you sitting there and you start thinking, you become a genius with basic shit. You'll learn how to put together a goddamn radio if you need to, with a paper clip, a bald lady's wigs, and a used quick trip cup.
is about
You'll
the
put
size
together
of a
a
crayon,
whole damn gun.
made of rubber, and unfortunately for him, just a little floppy. Not exactly great for writing, but there's a reason for it. Hardwood and metal pens can be turned into weapons, dangerous to both guards and inmates. And in Supermax, they're not taking the risk. Guzman says about writing his latest complaint about the lack of visitation rights for his wife, Emma Coronel, and daughters. His 2 daughters are studying in Mexico, so any visit would require a bit of travel and coordination. In 2021, Guzman's wife was also sentenced for drug trafficking. Who doesn't love a family business? Since her release in 2023, the judge has been reluctant to let Emma visit Guzman, mainly as she was one of the people who helped El Chapo escape prison the last time. 10 to 11
Yeah,
a.m.
but well, I guess that makes sense. But maybe visits that are very much supervised, got somebody in the room, can see what's going on. But like, I guess, I don't know, man. Damn, you can't even see your wife though. But of course she was gonna do that for him because that's his woman. Shit, of course she gonna do the shit.
Guzman sits back on his bed to do one of the only other things he can, watch TV. It's a 13-inch screen, and the only programming allowed is educational, religious, and some recreational content. One report says that some Netflix movies and DVDs are also available as long as they're rated PG. So El Chapo probably can't watch El Chapo in his cell, which is a real shame. He's more likely to find the prison recreation department's channel playing yoga and step aerobic tutorials. But it is better than staring at concrete, marginally. 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. The guards show up outside of his cell. Must be an exercise day. They slowly unlock the heavy reinforced metal door and order Guzman to step up to the bars. It's standard procedure. First a full frisk, then the shackles. Only when he's fully restrained will they escort him from the cell. Reports vary on exactly where Guzman gets to exercise. Some prisoners use an exercise pit. There might even be more than one. But when we called the warden to confirm, we were told to mind our own business.
Damn. Hey, that's crazy, bro. You trying to... I mean, I guess it just... That's some sneaky ass shit. You call the warden and be like, hey, do they have this? Are they being treated fairly? He's like, you shut the fuck up, bitch. You just shut up. That's what you need to do. That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame.
Chapo probably doesn't get to visit the semi-outdoor cage. Instead, he gets about 1 hour per week to exercise, likely in an indoor cell. He's never alone, always escorted there by 2 to 3 guards. And even then, he stays shackled the entire time. So yeah, we're guessing burpees aren't really on the workout plan.
Hey, that looked like my boy Alderson. That boy in there dropping it low for the guards.
Maybe if he behaves himself, Guzman could earn access to a semi-outdoor cage.
Odin Valhalla Rising. Now available on mobile.
I don't want to hear this shit. Y'all some freaks, bro. Alderson like... Oh, bro. He's a freak, bro. I'm telling you, Nugget, he a freak, man.
And it's not exactly a breath of fresh air. It's still mostly enclosed. Maybe if he behaves himself, Guzman could earn access to a semi-outdoor cage. But even then, it's not exactly a breath of fresh air. It's still mostly enclosed, shielding him from elements and sunlight, so don't expect a scenic jog. Prisoners in Supermax pace around a tiny concrete courtyard, boxed in by barbed wire, while armed guards watch from the towers, ready to take a shot if needed. Not exactly the best spot for a relaxing morning Pilates session.
No, and just a little bit ago, I seen Walter White over there, and this is either Lil Bill grown up or Tiger Woods. Boy, they both freaks.
And then as suddenly as one of the only hours outside of his cell began, it ends. The guards escort Guzman back. He shuffles shackled up down the hall toward his cell. 12 to 1 p.m. Lunchtime. Not exactly that Guzman actually worked up a sweat or anything, but it's still good to get another meal. Well, actually, considering in 2018 the Supermax was spending $3.50 for each inmate's meals per day, maybe it's not that good. And as the lunchtime tray is slipped through the door, he realizes it is as disappointing as usual. A small hamburger, unsalted potato wedges, fruit that may have expired some point last year, and ketchup. The potatoes are cold, the burger's so hot he can't touch it for 20 minutes. Everything is completely unseasoned except for only one spot on the patty that apparently had an entire salt shaker dumped on it. This supermax
They threw that motherfucking burger in the fire, bitch. They put that bitch. They threw that bitch in the fire. He said they got a burger you couldn't touch for 20 minutes, nigga. You know that shit trash. You eat that shit, your stomach fucked up, boy.
must cause weight loss. 1 to 2 p.m. Guzman bangs on the bars and the walls to get a guard's attention. He knows the cell is soundproof, but he figures he'll try anyway. There's not much else to do. He's supposed to get at least 2 15-minute phone calls per month, ones he'd love to use not only to catch up with loved ones, but to confer with the lawyer filing his appeal. However, as Guzman recently complained in one of his many, many letters to the judge overseeing his case, he's been in the Supermax for a year and have only been authorized 9 telephone calls to my attorney. Realizing once again that no one can hear him banging, he sits down to write another angry letter about how life in Supermax sucks. 2 to 3 p.m. Wow, today is really full of activities for El Chapo compared to a regular day in this prison cell. It's moving day. As we mentioned, the Supermax constantly keeps prisoners unaware of their location and their surroundings as one of its top priorities. To this end, prisoners get moved every 3 months from one cell to another. If they ever get an inkling of where in the Supermax facility they might be, they immediately get thrown off again. And if you think that the move itself creates a possible opening for the prisoners to escape, think again. Once again, the guards frisk El Chapo and shackle him so they can take him through the hallways. And there is no ordinary hallways. These hallways have 1,400 different remote-controlled steel doors. If there's ever an escape attempt, a violent outburst, or any other emergency, the response is instant. With one press of a button in the control room, the entire prison locks down, every door sealed, every movement stopped, until the issue is identified and order is restored. Slowly, El Chapo makes his way through the halls with the guards close by his side. Everything looks the same. Nothing gives him a clue as to where he was or where he might be going until eventually he gets to a door that looks just like his old door, and he walks in with his handful of belongings and he waits to see what he'll find. 3 to 4 p.m. Part of the reason Guzman is anxious about his new cell is because some of them hold unpleasant surprises. It's not uncommon to walk into a new room and find the walls smeared with feces. And as you might imagine, some prisoners that have been in the Supermax for years mentally fall apart. Some had, well, let's say, issues to begin with. Guzman walks in and thankfully he sees no feces on these walls. That's a good day. He looks at the same 4-inch window, the same concrete bed, and gets ready to settle into the exact same routine as usual.
Bro, he said, you walk into the new room and instantly, before you even step in that bitch, the door opens up. You get smacked with a whiff of shit that hit your nose, hit your nose follicles, get up your nose, get to dancing, twisting with these motherfucking follicles is shit. Over, bro, they don't even clean them motherfuckers, bro. It's like, all right, well, we moving day. All right, man, there you go. There in your new cell for shit, bitch. And if, let's say you piss off a guard, you definitely getting the shit
4 to 5
bro.
p.m.
That's a damn
There's
shame.
one trick prisoners can use in the Supermax to communicate with each other, and El Chapo figures now's the time to check who his neighbor is and hope it's someone he can occasionally chat with. Lots of notorious criminals are locked up in the Supermax. The shoe bomber, the Boston Marathon bomber, the Unabomber. There's probably non-bombers there as well, we assume. Maybe he'll end up speaking with one of them. To attempt to communicate, El Chapo takes a toilet paper roll and he holds it over either the sink or the shower drain. He'll try both to see which works. He blows through the roll as hard as he can to clear the pipes of any water they might have in them, creating as open a communication channel as one can get at the Supermax. Then, continuing to hold the roll over the drain, he talks into it. Hola, hablas español? After a while, a response comes back. Hello, no, but I can talk. Since El...
They say, hey, and no, but I'll murder you if you want. I can do it. If you want to. Just if you want to. If you want to. Did you want to? Stupid ass, bro. This nigga, that's the messed up part. The man is he speaks Spanish, bro. He can't even speak to people for real, bro. Man, that's enough time for him to. You better learn English now, bro. No, you better learn English.
Chapo's English isn't the best. He exchanges a few words with, well, whoever it is, holding on to those precious few moments of human connection.
No.
5 to 6 p.m. It's time for some light reading. Prisoners are allowed to ask for
50
books
Shades
out of
of
the prison
Beige.
library, always subject to good behavior, of course. They can read them in their cell. Once again, the language barrier makes reading a little difficult for El Chapo, but he manages to muddle through. There is one light in his cell that's controlled by the guards. Without it, it's pretty dark in his room no matter what time of day it is. With it, Guzman has enough light to make out the words on the page and read. He sits on his bed with his latest book and he passes the time. This is a huge change of pace from his first prison experience in Punta Grande. There, he managed to run his whole drug empire from inside of the prison. Perhaps one of the many reasons he's not allowed to make frequent phone calls now. There would be parties. Yes, parties all the time. With a long sigh, Guzman sits back and wonders why he ever tried to escape his first prison, where he...
There shouldn't be no parties with a hairline like that. There should be no celebrating allowed with a hairline like that. In fact, that might be the warden. That nigga needs to go to jail too. Bro had the life. Bro had the life. Bro, it's like, if you can have parties in jail, then you can have baddies in that mug too. If you can have baddies in jail, you got women, you got parties, and they thinking you serving your sentence. Just do the time. Like, if you in there having, bro, because obviously, bro, if you having parties, bro, ain't no jail having parties. You know they got TV. If they having parties, you know they got TV. You know they got, bro, he got too greedy. That's what happens in life. People don't know when they getting too greedy. They getting too damn greedy, and they end up messing themselves up. Now he got an even smaller cell, fresh shit on the wall, dirty drawers you got to smell. You got to go, the food is from hell, so you got dirty drawers that you got to smell, food from hell. No barber, because we see this nigga right there. He ain't got no barber. That was the warden in your jail. He went to Supermax for that damn hairline. Vegeta mad at that nigga, man.
He was having as close to the time of his life as he can have behind bars. 6 to 7 p.m. The last meal of the day slides underneath El Chapo's prison door, signaling that soon it'll be time for bed. Tonight's...
Wait, what is that, bro? My bad. I'm going to go back, bro, because I know y'all tired of me stopping this. But what is this, bro? The last meal of the day, bro? That look like the shit you clean up on Mario Sunshine. That right there, that's definitely that goo that you clean up from Mario Sunshine. I don't believe that.
6 to 7 p.m. The last meal of the day slides underneath El Chapo's prison door, signaling that soon it'll be time for bed. Tonight's delicacy is meatloaf. Not that any particular flavor of meat can be identified. A scoop of potato, the most flavorless gravy known to man, and 2 pieces of bread. Even though the meal is anything but appetizing, eating at least gives Guzman something to do for the next hour. Slowly, he chews on his meal. The meatloaf in particular requires a lot of chewing, and he wonders how many days he's been in the Supermax at this point. Time seems to blend together when you're having no fun at all. 7 to 8 p.m. Guzman decides to take a quick shower. The water seems to be on right now before getting ready for bed. He doesn't get nearly as much water as he'd like since the shower is timed. That's a safety precaution so prisoners don't accidentally drown in their cells. While washing himself, Guzman looks down at the shower floor and he's reminded of his last escape attempt in 2015 from Altiplano in Mexico. His associates dug a tunnel under the prison that connected to a hole in his shower floor. One night, Guzman slipped away through the hole, and by the time the guards were alerted, he'd already hopped on a motorcycle that had been left for him and he drove away. The water flow now stops completely. Guzman dries himself, puts on his clothes, and goes back to his book in bed. His back and head are in agony, like they have been for days. Unfortunately, medical attention doesn't come quickly into Supermax for anything other than dire emergencies. In September 2021, Guzman submitted an affidavit to a U.S. court, essentially saying that his physical and mental health were falling apart. Something about the total lack of sunlight.
Love games, but hate the grind?
Oh, shut up. Love games, but hate the grind. Nigga, that's a part of this shit. Stupid ass.
Social contact, family contact, and no hope of escape before death. I have suffered a lot, Guzman writes, due to the treatment in AdMax. I now suffer from headaches, memory loss, muscle cramps, stress, and depression. I have suffered a lot. Suddenly, the light switches off. Guzman lies down and gets ready to sleep. As the light being off means the power to the TV is off as well. He closes his eyes, trying to drift off into a fitful sleep, but he knows it won't last. At some point, the guards will come through, making their rounds, banging on his door, just to remind him that privacy doesn't exist here.
Hey, that's messed up, bro. You went to sleep with a stomach ache from eating that bullshit. You finally get some rest. It's a nigga get the fuck up. It's like, whoa, what, bitch? Like, look, he had just fell asleep.
He closes his eyes, trying to drift off into a fitful sleep, but he knows it won't last. At some point, the guards will come through, making their rounds, banging on his door.
He mad as a motherfucker. He mad as hell, bro. That nigga is mad, bro. I'm mad for you, bro. I'm mad for you. You shouldn't have killed all those people, bro. You deserve that shit, bro. You ain't gonna get no sleep in this motherfucker. Now, that'll drive you crazy, bro. That's like having a newborn baby, bro. You gonna get woke up in the middle of the night. That shit gonna drive you crazy. Bro, this shit, as much as laughing and joking as I'm doing on this shit's scaring the shit out of me, bro. Like, it's genuinely kind of creepy, bro. This shit is it's a shame is what it is. To the point where, like, I'm finna go get my car plates. Like, I've been driving around, my car plates ain't right, and I don't have no need to do that shit. I'm getting my car plates together. I'm not end up nowhere near where this nigga at. This nigga makes me want to get my life together, bro. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm getting my car plates together, man. You know, I'm gonna stop driving like this, man.
Just to remind him that privacy doesn't exist here. It's just another part of the Supermax life, and another thing he complained about in a recent letter. And so ends another day at Supermax. There is some kind of method to the madness behind El Chapo and most prisoners at the Supermax's daily routine. No one has escaped since ADX Florence was founded in 1994, and Guzman has spent time in cell block H and range 13, which are reserved for the worst offenders. That being said, groups like Amnesty International agree that El Chapo deserves to remain in prison for life and kept away from innocent people, but they argue this kind of treatment in prison facilities crosses the line into inhumane. The ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, called Supermax prisons cruel, inhuman, and degrading. Many everyday citizens don't really care, as El Chapo is responsible for the murders of thousands of people at least. And what
I think that sums up how we feel on this video. I think it really sums that up, bro, because I mean, it's like I care because I'm watching it, but like 20 minutes to an hour after this is over, maybe even 10 minutes from now, I think I'm probably gonna forget about it. I'm probably not gonna care anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Cause you make your bed, you gotta lay in this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm probably gonna forget. Honestly, I'm probably gonna forget about it until I get to editing this video. Then I'll care again because I'm watching it. Then 20 minutes after that, when I post it, I probably won't care anymore.
What happens to him doesn't trouble most members of society, but many now say it's a myth that only the worst criminals are locked up in a Supermax facility. Erica G. King of Kansas City got sentenced to 10 years in prison at 29 years old for throwing 2 Molotov cocktails into a local congressional office. The Congressman Emanuel Cleaver II was not in his office at the time, neither was anyone else, as it was 2:52 a.m. Essentially, it was arson of an empty building and property damage. But
yeah, but life in Supermax for that though, damn, that is pretty hard, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty horrible, bro. Cause I could see if he tried to burn people alive and maybe he got somebody, but he seemed like he was just trying to shut down their operation. It could have had worse consequences, but considering the fact that it didn't hole in the face, nigga, man. But yeah, I don't know about that. It's like that streamer, bro. Gaddafi. Matingi. Rapunzel. What's that nigga name that got locked up in the Philippines? We just did a video on him. Rauderis. What was his name? I can't think of his name, bro. Fidel. Rapunzel. I can't remember this nigga name, but this nigga got locked up in the Philippines because he was going around doing dumb shit, and the nigga got 20 years. And I was like, damn, the nigga should be locked up, but 20 years is a long time to be locked up, boy. That shit, and then I think the conditions are worse than this. This shit in another country, bro. I know his name. Vladimir. Nah, what is this nigga name? Now it's gonna bug me, bro. Some of y'all are screaming in the comments, bro. Y'all know. What is it, bro? Vitaly, right, Nugget. Right on, bro. The nigga named Vitaly. I knew it was some nigga that sound kind of like a. He sound kind of like. It could be Russian. It could be a nigga that sell wine from Italy. It could be a vampire. Vitaly, bro. That's the nigga name. Bro, the nigga name is what, bro?
Since King got into fights in a couple of other prisons he was held in, eventually he ended up in Colorado's infamous Supermax. He described his experience in a Reddit AMA.
Yeah.
After years, the silence or kind of silence becomes its own noise. You can become immobile, psychological issues start to pop up. No one's there for you. No one cares if you get hurt, sick, mentally unwell, if the food is horrible, or if you're sad or having a depressing week. You are on your own in every way for years.
Damn.
The silence and the isolation are two constants in every one of El Chapo's days at the Supermax, slowly eroding his sanity and whatever existed of his humanity in the first place over time. Even Robert Hood, an ex-warden of the prison, had only
Robert
bad
Hood?
things to say about it. This is not built for humanity. I think that being there day by day is worse than death. Do you think El Chapo's treatment in Supermax is fair, or is it too extreme? Should prisons be...
You know, I don't know, man. It's hard to say that because it depends on who you are. Because he has not personally affected my life. Me being moral, I would say, damn, maybe you can give him more leniency. But I'm saying this when I'm keeping an open mind about this. To the people that his lives have affected, hell no. Hell no.